As a veteran and as someone that struggles daily with mental health issues, StellaNova Foundation, and I pretty much have the same voice and the same, goals and mindset. Mental health issues afflict way more people than anybody thinks. And I guarantee everybody knows someone that has struggled severely with it. Veterans, especially, and a large percentage of our homeless population, unfortunately, is made up of just those exact people, veterans with mental health issues.
This is a podcast called The Many Faces of StellaNova, a podcast for the StellaNova Foundation. Here's your host, Scott Arthur.
Welcome to our Houston Art Weeks podcast, where creativity meets community. I'm Scott Arthur, and over the next few weeks, we're going to introduce you to some of the remarkable artists who are helping launch a brand new cultural tradition in our city. And Houston Art Weeks 2025 runs October the 10th through the 19th, bringing together galleries and studios and independent artists all across the city for 10 days of discovery, inspiration, and giving back. A portion of every sale benefits the StellaNova Foundation, supporting vital mental health outreach for Houstonians who may not otherwise have access to care. It's creativity with a cause, and you're about to meet some of the artists who are making that happen. Joining us today are two of the very talented voices behind the Houston Art Weeks. First of all, we're going to be talking to Trey Slaughter, and his work is just amazing. Great paintings, and you'll hear a little bit more about it. Also with us is Rebeccah Molander, known for all sorts of great things, and you'll hear about that too. The artist who brings a fresh perspective to the city's creative landscape, and we're very honored to have both of them here. So, guys, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Well, let's
yes,
talk.
Thank you so much. We're excited to be here.
I know, and it's a great topic, and let's just get into it right away. Let's talk to Trey, first of all. Trey, tell us a little bit about your bio. How long have you been painting? Why have you been painting? What have you been doing with the painting? Talk to us.
So I've lived in Houston for 25 years. I grew up about an hour south of here, the Surfside Beach area. I've been an artist since I was a kid. I remember the exact point I decided I was going to be an artist was in second grade. One of the teacher's assistants had a weekly contest, and the winner of that contest, she would create little letter patterns and things like that for us to color in and draw on ourselves. And there would be a contest, and the winner each week got to keep hers and got a big hug from her. I had a sweet spot for her, so I did really well. And at the end of the year, I had a large stack of her drawings. And from that point on, I've been an artist.
Wow, that's wild.
I moved to Houston in 2000 to go to the Art Institute to get a degree in graphic design. After I got that, I worked in that field for a few years. In that time, in our first few months of class, you go through the basics, drawing, color theory, composition, things like that. And in those classes, people started offering to buy my paintings, some of my assignments. And then I started getting commissions from there. After working in the graphic design field for a few years, I had a child in 2012, and I became a stay-at-home dad and worked from a home studio. I've been a professional artist ever since.
Do you have a particular style?
So I work in many different styles. Right now, I'm at a point where I've been able to bring a few styles together in a couple of series I'm working on. One is called Last Words, which focuses on noteworthy individuals that we've unfortunately lost via suicide or overdose of some type. And I've captured their last known words and include those in the portrait style piece. There's also some background information on them. If they're a singer in a band, there's some song names, some song lyrics, where they're from, where they grew up. And it's kind of a create and destroy, many layers go into creating the painting.
Wow, that's unique and very heavy.
And the other series is Queer Icons, which is the same style of work. These are all done on a heavyweight craft paper brown craft paper and then framed. The other series is Queer Icons, which is important individuals in the LGBTQ plus community. And I'll be featuring some of those at the StellaNova event on October 18th at the Montrose Center. And yeah. So, and I also do murals around town. I do commission work, graphic design work. I recently wrote my first novel. I do a lot of stuff. If art is going to be your career and your commerce, then you've got to be really versatile, I think, in order to be successful at it. Successful to the degree that I want to be, anyway.
Rebeccah, how about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in Houston my whole life. I was born here. I did not go very far. I love our city here. I've been here my whole life. The same as Trey, I think a lot of people that are artists, we kind of knew from the beginning this is sort of all we ever wanted to do. And this is definitely all I ever wanted to do. I just wanted to create things ever since I was a little kid. I told my folks from a very early age, I think I was 5, whenever I said, I think I'm going to be an artist when they grow up. And they said, that's a really great hobby one day.
They use the word hobby.
It was a hobby for me. Yeah. It was a hobby for me for a long time. I didn't know how to make it a career for me for a long time. So it's just something that I did on the side. And then in 2020, when everything shut down, there's a local radio station that I listen to, 94.5 The Buzz with Rod Ryan. And he's pretty great about always promoting local stuff. And as things started opening back up, he was telling everyone, please make sure you eat local and shop local. And I just sent him an email. And I said, hey, Rod, can you please tell people to art local, too? Houston has this incredible art scene. It's just incredible. We are the largest working artist community in all of the United States. And people need to get back out there and art local because artists aren't able to show their art without a crowd either. And he looked me up and he sent me an email back and he said, I'm not only going to tell people to art local, I'm going to tell people to art Rebeccah. And he talked about me on his radio show. And that's how I sold my very first painting was to a lady named Kelly, who's a very good friend of mine now. She looked me up on Instagram because of his radio show and bought a painting. And that launched this whole thing. This is all I do now. I'm a full-time artist. I have a studio in Sawyer Yards in the Winter Street Studios. The last several years, I've worked with several charities as well. I paint live at charity events. And in the last, I think, 4 years that I've been doing that, we've brought in somewhere around $35,000 for local charities through art, which is an incredible way to be able to help and give back through something that I love so much.
And this is one of the ways that we are going to give back, and we'll talk more about that in a minute.
I was just going to say, it's funny you mentioned Rod Ryan. Harper and I created a painting for them a couple of years ago, and it's hanging in their studio.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. I've been out to their studio, and I saw it there. Yeah, I knew that you guys were friends, too. It's funny. We're a small community in Houston. There's a lot of us, but we're close, and we're a small community, and we're all connected to each other. It's an incredible thing.
Tell me what your paintings look like. What were the styles? How about you first, Rebeccah? What did you do for Rod?
So for Rod, I've done a couple different things over the years. I'll actually be painting live for him in October at his Boobs Rock, which is a breast cancer charity event that he does every year. This year for that, I've got a painting that I've already finished that's sort of a portrait of Ozzy Osbourne. I thought would go over really well with the crowd that he has, which my paintings I do contemporary art, which to me just sort of means that I take all sorts of different pieces from different styles and I sort of layer them and mesh them together into one painting. So I do kind of an abstract type background, and then I've done Ozzy's face, but his face sort of fades in and out of the canvas. I also do a lot of stuff where I'll start with some sort of abstract type background, and I will layer that. And I do these kind of winding ribbons that flow around like a particular color splash that goes through it. So everything is sort of kind of abstract and chaotic, and then there's this very kind of detailed ribbon that sort of travels and winds through the piece and gives your eye something to follow across and kind of highlights specific points. My style is kind of all over the place. I've got all sorts of different series, and I joke with my husband and son a lot, and my son's actually asked me to stop saying it, but I told him I have a style of art for every one of my personalities, and Spencer said that makes me seem a little bit crazy, and I said, well, you got to be a little bit to make art, so I think it fits, but a different style for every personality.
I love it. If somebody came up to you at one of these showings and they're looking at the painting and they're asking, what is this, or what inspired you, or maybe more importantly, what did it cost, what do you say?
For me, when someone asks what a painting's about, I really try and step back and let them tell me what they see in it first. There's a quote by Dave Grohl that he said one time, I can sing a song out to an arena of people for a very specific reason that I wrote it, and 1,000 people will sing a song back to me, every single one of them, for a different reason. And while I know why I painted something, there's a piece of me that I put in every single painting and every canvas. There's a reason behind it. There's a moment, there's a feeling, there's something that I'm trying to get across. It's not always important to me that somebody gets my feeling out of the canvas. To me, it's important that they saw something of mine and that they felt something. If a piece of art stops someone and makes them look at it and feel something and sparks emotion, then whatever answer they have for what they see and why they feel it is just never wrong to me. So I worry sometimes that if I tell somebody why I painted something, then it may tarnish what they see in the painting, and I don't want to take away from what something means to them. I did it for my own reasons, but once I've already put it on the canvas, I'm really at that point usually more interested in what it is that they see and what they feel in the painting than the reason that I've done it. If they still want to know what I think and why I painted it, I'm happy to share that with them. But I prefer to hear what other people think of my art and what they feel from it.
That makes perfect sense. What is an average price that you would get for something like that?
So for me, I price my art by the square inch. And so it would depend on the size of the piece, and then it depends on the materials used for the piece as well. If it's an acrylic painting with just a varnish finish, then I charge $1.25 per square inch. I have paintings that I do a resin coating on. Resin is a more expensive material, so for those paintings, I charge $1.50 per square inch. But I've also recently been working with wood and resin, and I have a very good friend and collector of mine that just asked me to build them a coffee table, and I built them a 4-foot by 4-foot wooden resin coffee table. So I've gone from kind of charcuterie board stuff to larger furniture pieces with the art that way, and then that's going to have its own pricing system based on, the depth of it and size of it and stuff like that. But I try and charge by the square inch. In the beginning, when I was starting out, I was charging by my emotional attachment to the piece, and it turns out that's not really a way to charge for art. That doesn't make any sort of sense. So I tried to reel that in and come up with a system that made sense for other people to understand.
Do other artists do that too?
If they price by the square inch if they're smart. But usually starting out, it's hard for artists to understand that. And when you price by the square inch, you can use a different, calculation for different types of work. Example, when I do a 6-foot by 6-foot painting, I don't charge as much by the square inch as I do on a 24 by 24 inch. When I do sketch work, it's a different price rate. When I do portrait work, it's different price rates than abstract work. But those are all, like my personal calculations. But it all works out to the square inch. When people do what I call passion pricing, if they're serious about becoming an artist, then that will hinder them down the road if their work is going to go, gain value, grow in value for collectors. If you passion price like that, there's no historical log of, what it's really worth. But if you're pricing a standard across the board, then you can follow when, how, and why it's elevated in price.
He's absolutely right on that, because you do have to have a standard and a market type value for it. And he's absolutely right with what he said. When you start out, it's very hard to understand that. But art is a business like anything else. It's a very passion-led business, but it's a business in the end. So that's part of the business side of art, that once you really get into it and start to become a professional, that you have to learn that exactly what he was saying.
I will say, too, that, at least for me, when art becomes your job, i.e. commerce, i.e. your bills get paid by, you have a totally different outlook on it. And I hate to say this, but a lot of the joy can come out of it, because with every piece that you make, you instantly think, okay, who's going to buy this? How am I going to sell it? What happens if I don't sell it? What am I going to do? And it's a very high anxiety profession. I know people from the outside probably think it's all, rainbows and, smoothies in the morning and naps in the afternoon and, snuggling up to a fire and reading poetry at night, but it's not. I work at least 16 to 18-hour days, 7 days a week. And I'm a single dad.
My gosh. See, people don't realize that. They see something hanging on the wall and they don't know the background or the philosophy behind it at all.
As an entire package under the hat of artist, creating the art is maybe, if you're lucky, 30% of the entire, time. And if you're lucky, it's that much. Let's
talk about Houston Art Weeks. You guys probably heard about this a month or two or so ago. And what are your thoughts on it? And what is your interpretation of what it is? Let's start with Rebeccah.
Well, for me, I'm very excited about it. I was really excited when Doug came to me and presented the idea. He said, Houston has, the food week with the restaurants, and it's become a very well-known thing in Houston. In fact, even outside of Houston, people travel in. People know that we do that with our local restaurants here. And he said he's trying to shine some light on the Houston artists. And I was kind of thrilled, because I have a studio in Sawyer Yards in Winter Street, and the amount of people that I talk to, and just in general, not at the studio, just in public in general, making conversation with people, and they ask what you do, and I say I'm an artist, and they say, oh, no kidding. And I say, yes, I have a studio in Sawyer Yards. Have you heard of it? And the amount of people that haven't heard of it, that are unaware of it, is shocking to me. But on top of that, the amount of people here in Houston that say to me, oh, what are you doing in Houston? Shouldn't you be in Austin or California or New York? And it breaks my heart, because Houston has just the most incredible art community. We have great art here. Sawyer Yards is the largest working artist community in all of the United States, but it's not even the only artist community in Houston. There's the Hardy and Nance Street studios. There's artists that are not part of larger community studios that just do art out of their home. There's art on our streets here. We've been redoing so many buildings, and like Trey says he does public art and murals and stuff like that. It's all over the city of Houston, and it's just amazing to me how people that live here aren't aware of it. There's not enough publicity behind it. People travel the entire world for art, and nobody thinks to come to Houston. Nobody realizes what we have here. And it's not old art it's new art by living artists. It's things that are being created right in front of you. It's incredible to me. And my voice is small. I have no idea how to let people know besides making conversation with random strangers. So what Doug is trying to do here, and to bring the awareness, and to also help a charity on top of that, but to bring the awareness to the Houston art scene and what we have and the artists that we have here in Houston, I think it's incredible what he's doing, and I'm really excited about it.
Very well said. And Trey, how about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, I've known Doug for about 11 years, and I actually met him at an art fair. I had a booth, and this guy just kept walking by and slowly and sort of stopped and then back by. And after about the fifth time, I walked out and said, "Hey, what's up, man?" And we talked. He found out I was this art festival or little fair was in Brazoria County. And he found out I lived up here, and we've been friends ever since. He's hosted many shows for me at his home, the next one being in November. As a veteran and as someone that struggles daily with mental health issues, StellaNova Foundation, and I pretty much have the same voice and the same, goals and mindset. Mental health issues afflict way more people than anybody thinks. And I guarantee everybody knows someone that struggles severely with it. Veterans, especially, and a large percentage of our homeless population, unfortunately, is made up of just those exact people, veterans with mental health issues. So anything that I could do to help that cause and to help Doug, even just outside of that, I'm totally on board for. From an artist standpoint, I think it's really exciting. As Rebeccah said, there's not a bright enough light shown on the artists in this city. There's immense talent here and an abundance of it.
Well, you two paint quite a picture. It's nothing that I have ever really thought about, because we usually see the final product. And if we're lucky, we get to speak to some of the artists and find out what's behind that and what inspired that. But what you just said is it's a lifetime. And it's not just somebody standing in front of a palette and just doing this. It's everything else as well. It's a business. And that's good to know. And the reason I bring that up is because of Houston Art Weeks 2025, people are going to get an opportunity to maybe talk to Rebeccah and talk to Trey and find out what they think, how they think, what are they looking at? And maybe they can create something brand new. And it gives a whole different feeling and venture to the art. And I think that's so very important. So I think that's why Houston Art Weeks 2025 is important. It runs October the 10th through the 19th. With events all across the city, including the pop-up exhibitions at the Montrose Center on Saturday, which is the 18th of October. Every piece of art purchased helps support the StellaNova Foundation mental health outreach. You've heard Trey talk about that. So when you buy local art, you're also giving back to our community. In case you didn't know, participating artists and galleries pay a registration fee of $15 and agree to donate a percentage of their sales during Houston Art Weeks to the foundation. This year, the StellaNova Foundation has designated the Montrose Center as the primary beneficiary. And past beneficiaries have included healthcare for the homeless, the Purple Heart Project, Guitars for Vets. Houston Art Weeks is more than an art show. It's about celebrating the voices of Houston's artists and channeling their work into meaningful impact for our community. Trey and Rebeccah painting quite a picture. Thank you for sharing their stories and their art with us today. They're just two of the so many voices that make Houston Art Week such a powerful new tradition. Remember, Houston Art Weeks 2025 runs October the 10th through the 19th, with events all across the city, including the pop-up exhibition at the Montrose Center on Saturday, October the 18th. Every piece of art purchased helps support the StellaNova Foundation's mental health outreach. So when you buy local art, you're also giving back to our community. That's what it's all about. Go to StellaNovaFoundation.org. Join us, celebrate Houston's creativity, and be part of creativity with a cause. This is Scott Arthur. Take care of yourself and others.
The StellaNova Foundation is a Houston-based 501c3 organization whose mission is to provide resources to those experiencing mental health issues who may not have access to treatment or care. Find out more at StellaNovaFoundation.org. The Many Faces of StellaNova is a podcast for the StellaNova Foundation, and it's available on your